This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
I can't imagine how we would do it if I was just one person, that we all have these special skill sets, and regardless of what the event is, we'll come to an agreement that that's the best path. Yeah. And we support the decision, whether we're totally opinionated in something different. But it takes three of us. And so for anybody that's going through it by themselves, we can only say, you've got to find a support. You've got to find somebody else. You've got to build a tribe, like what we said.
This is the Heart of Hospice podcast with Helen Bauer. My guests today are Natalie and JJ, hosts of the Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver podcast. Whether you're a family caregiver or an end-of-life professional, the Heart of Hospice is here to enhance your hospice experience by connecting you with information you can use about end-of-life care.
The sponsor for this episode of the Heart of Hospice is National HME. National HME is a direct service hospice durable medical equipment company. Using their proprietary software, Hospice Cloud Pro, providers can enter new patient information, order equipment, arrange pickups, and obtain real-time reporting, including order status and much more. National HME excels at providing service with care and empathy. To learn more, visit nationalhme.com. Today's episode is sponsored by Reluctant Care. Reluctant's motto is, "Care is treatment." They have a mission to transform the end-of-life experience for the patient and caregivers through education and support. Reluctant Care is revolutionizing the hospice experience with their booklet, The Care Plan, A Path to Comfort for the Hospice Patient, along with 50 free YouTube videos that teach the basics of bedside care. Visit thecareplan.net for more information. Now, here's today's episode.
Well, you better put on your seatbelt for today's interview. These ladies are a riot. They're hilarious. They've got a very vivid, crazy caregiving story to share. So, disclaimer up front, we're not really talking about hospice today. Today is all about caregiving, and these women have a story to share. Natalie and JJ are sisters. They are the hosts of the Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver podcast. They're a trio of sisters, along with their sister Emilie, who are supporting their mom, who is living with Parkinson's disease, and Natalie's husband, who also is a cancer survivor. They'll tell you that they share the good, the bad, and the completely unbelievable of their caregiving journey. Their podcast, Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver, is a very authentic, honest show. What they want to do is instill hope in other caregivers, giving them permission to share their thoughts and feelings, make them feel safe and nurtured, and of course, judgment-free. They're going to laugh and cry and everything in between, but the sisterhood wants everybody to leave feeling better about the caregiving journey, and they're part of the Sisterhood of Care. So here's my conversation with these wild women, Natalie and JJ, and you're going to love it. Ladies, welcome to the Heart of Hospice podcast.
Hi.
Huh?
Oh, it's so great to have you guys on the show. I have to tell you, I'm scared to death of this.
You should be.
I have no idea what's getting ready to happen, which is awesome and exhilarating all at the same time.
Don't
Feels so
be
good.
afraid. Don't be afraid, Helen.
Run into the light, Carol Ann.
So I'm a child of the 80s. I know what that means. And I was terrified of that movie. Still kind of am.
Me too.
Yeah.
I can't. That's why I don't eat chicken wings.
Oh, stop.
Oh, see.
Oh, I'm not a scary movie girl. Okay,
Me
so
neither.
we're going to start with a question just to loosen us up, although I'm thinking that we really don't need it. So we're going to start with you, JJ. What are 3
Ready.
superpowers that you have?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we'll start with,
Natalie's laughing.
yeah. I want to say patience, but that would just be with Natalie.
That's facts. Facts.
You know, I think one of my superpowers is going to be forgiveness, because I am a really forgiving person to a fault. Trust, another to a fault. I'll trust you long before I know you. And I don't know.
Bossiness.
Bossiness. Let's take that one. Yeah, bossiness. That is a super. I'm direct.
So
I'm
I think
initiative.
I don't consider it
Yes.
bossiness.
I'm direct.
I think
get
it's
things
directive.
done. Yeah, I get things done.
That's right.
So I'm a taskmaster. So that's my other one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
true.
thinks it's bossy.
She's bossy.
JJ. Okay, Natalie, what about you? What are 3 superpowers that you have?
I'm going to use my mental health words. Resilience.
Let's go.
Oh, you're welcome for that. That one felt good, didn't it, Jay?
It did.
I am resilient. I am diligent, and diligent / relentless. I don't give up. I am a true middle child. And so I don't take no for an answer. My mantra is, how do I get to yes? And then, you said honesty. It's kind of a value, Jay, but we're all raised. My superpower is, and this is JJ's too. We have servant hearts. We believe we were born to serve. And so I think that is a superpower. When you have a heart to serve and a heart to help others, I think it's a superpower.
Those were good.
Absolutely.
We are the world.
Yeah, those really are good. I know. I feel like we should sway back and forth. Okay. So all the superpowers that you guys have, you bring to your caregiving journey. And it's been a doozy. The 2 of you, along with your sister, are caregivers for your mom currently. And she is not on hospice, so this is not a hospice story that we're talking about today, but we are really focusing on caregiving because you guys bring a really unique energy to the care that you provide for your mom. You each bring your superpowers and your skills and talents. And you also have a podcast where you talk about all of the crazy, zany stuff that you encounter and how you guys handle it. And you interview people who are doing the same thing in their own personal lives. So, JJ, we're going to start with you. Tell me how you guys got to this place in your caregiving journey with your mother.
So with Connie, which is what we kindly refer to Connie as. That's mom. So mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's at 52. She actually was early onset, and she started showing symptoms at 48. But we had a plan. Our parents were married for almost 40 years, and so Dad was going to take care of her. No problem. We weren't really worried about it. And then Dad retired at 55, and he had a massive heart attack at 58 and passed away on the 4th of July. And that was our plan, Helen.
No, it was not our plan for our dad to pass away.
That was our plan for him to always take care of her, though. And so
he was our long-term plan.
Yeah.
Right. So it totally threw a wrench into the works.
Total wrench.
Beyond the disappointment of our father has passed at such an early age, because we were in our 30s.
Yeah.
Then it was, oh God, who's going to take care of mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh God. Literally.
So, yeah, she lived on her own, probably for the next 10 years or so. And I say she lived on her own in that she had other people coming into the house, helping out, taking care of her, people that were volunteers from the church. My sister our youngest sister, Emilie, lived close to her. But what we found out is that she really wasn't getting the right kind of care. She wasn't taking care of herself. We all lived a distance away from her. Natalie and I did. And in 2019, she had an episode where my aunt called me and said, "You need to come home." I was about 5 hours away. And she said, "You need to come home, that your mom is really sick." And when I got there, she had entered a state of psychosis, basically, where doctors weren't talking to one another. She had pretty much taken too much medicine, and she had been doing that for a while, her Parkinson's medication. And 2019, that episode is really when we took over full care of mom. We've transitioned her into assisted livings, and now we've got a totally different place. But that's kind of when our story started, caregiving for mom. And we've been doing it for, what is it, Nellie, now 4 years? And we're in our fourth full-time year with mom. So it takes all three of us too.
It takes a village.
Absolutely. So, and I want to talk about that. So each of you brings a very different communication style, a different caregiving style to the care of your mom, because I understand, I've met Emilie. She's a lot more introverted. She's younger. She's got kids. She's the youngest of the three of you. Natalie, you have background as a social worker. JJ, you're the organizer, the one who kind of musters the troops.
She's in charge.
And somebody has to be, thank goodness, right? It's not a bad thing. But so, Natalie, what would you say are the drawbacks to having these different approaches to caregiving? If you had to make a pro and con list for the different styles you guys have, what would be on the negative side of things?
Well, we fully believe, JJ's always said that. She said this first, and then, of course, I've latched on to it because it is the wisdom of the wiser older sister, older being the key word. She said that we firmly believe in our own opinions. And so when you firmly believe in your own opinion and you have to actually take into consideration other people's opinions, especially your siblings, because you can disregard, friends and family members that are not related or like direct siblings, but you can choose not to take other people's opinions. But for us, because we are pretty much thick as thieves, we're all 2 years apart. We grew up very much, very, very, very close to each other. I think the downside can be when we don't agree with one another. And then how do we resolve that and maintain our relationship? And so I think that can be the downside, in my opinion.
One of the other, I'll tag in here though, and I know this happened. Emilie took care of mom, took on the 24/7 caregiver role for a while, Helen. How it impacted her was, she said, while I was taking care of mom, I wasn't a sister. She said, I lost who I was. You all would call me, and all we talked about was mom. And that is one of the hardest parts, is that when we get into that full-time caregiver role, we forget about the joy of the relationship we have. And so we really have to be mindful of calling and being playful and laughing with one another and talking about dogs and work and relationships and life, because that can be a weakness for us. Because we're emotional supports for one another.
Yeah. I mean, what was there else? I mean, all we talked about was mom. You didn't even know what else. It was like, well, what else is going on? I'm so exhausted from this point of trying to figure out, make sure, we get from point A to point B. Mom has all of her appointments. Mom has everything she needs, fighting with the insurance company or the government representative of the insurance person, that you're so kind of emotionally exhausted. How much do you have more to give? And we had to be very, very intentional, especially with Emilie, because Emilie this is really important. Emilie lived with our mom for 7 months, and she had no other life. She barely got out to see anybody else. It was all consuming. And so even though she wanted to talk about something else, I struggled with even knowing what else to talk about, because all she did was care for mom, which was my concern in the first place about her going and caring for our mom full time.
Yeah. There's a loss of identity, I think. There's a huge switch. You stop thinking of yourself as a wife or a mother or a church member or a volunteer or even an employee if you have to stop work, all to become a caregiver.
Right.
There's, I think, a great loss of sense of self.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point.
Well, and we experienced that. I experienced it caring for my husband, and I've had to learn to accept being a wife and a caregiver, and I'm a daughter and a caregiver. And then, some days I am a caregiver and I'm the utilization review manager for his insurance company.
Right.
Sometimes I am responsible for, making sure that he's getting his meds. Or yesterday, he says to me at 5:00, this is my husband who's a cancer survivor, I'm starving. I haven't eaten all day. And the most frustrating thing for me is I'm not sure how you made it to 56 because, you're an adult and you choosing not to eat. I'm like, I'm not going to feel bad for you because you chose not to eat today. But does it really make me angry because I know the impact it has on his body? Of course it does. But I fight being a mother to my husband almost every day.
Yeah.
I feel like I fight it because I don't want to be his mother. I want to be a wife. And a mother in this sense is a little bit like a caregiver. I think that it's confusing. It's confusing at times. And for him to not see me that way.
And you are his caregiver.
100%.
Yeah, you're his advocate. You're his go-between for insurance. When he can't talk, take care of himself, manage stuff around the house, you do all that. But again, this is a grown man.
Oh, yeah, it makes me mad.
Do you find that your social work background kicks in? Because you're a social worker, right? Mm-hmm. Do you find that your I need to fix this social worker mindset kicks in?
100%. My job is to be able to respond quickly in crisis. I am a highly regulated person in a crisis, another person's crisis. They call me at the worst time of their life and they need help. And for me, I can respond immediately, right on the dot. And that was a hard part to support my husband. It's easier with my mom because I don't see her every day. The interaction is not like that. But when caregiving has there's phases, or I don't even it's not phases, it's not stages. It's how close you are to the person you're caring for. So Emilie, for example, was the closest to our mom and took the brunt of that. And the brunt meaning the emotional toll, the physical toll. And I would call in like a really good grandparent. What can I do to help you? Or Mom, you can't say things like that. Or Mom, don't be a perfect candidate for adult protective service issues. Because if you talk to the staff they'll be, I sort of can understand why they might not be kind to you because you're not kind to them. And JJ gets it equally like Emilie because JJ's the oldest. JJ's the favorite. She is who my mom prefers to talk to. I am the most like my mom, so she prefers to talk to me the least, which is a blessing.
The sponsor for this episode of The Heart of Hospice is National HME. National HME is a direct service hospice durable medical equipment company that's serious about providing excellent service through communication and coordination for providers and families. They aim to be an extension of the hospice care team and to make DME the easiest part of the hospice provider's day. Using their proprietary software, Hospice Cloud Pro, providers can enter new patient information, order equipment, arrange pickups, and obtain real-time reporting on their order status, plus much more. National HME also provides text message notifications which keep everyone up to date on when the equipment will be delivered. National understands how important communication is when it comes to every aspect of a hospice patient's care. Here's Chris Maglioka, Senior Vice President of Business Development, describing how National HME technicians stay connected with patients and families.
The family will know through text messaging when the technician's on their way. they'll actually know the technician's name. So, we get the order, our call center calls that patient's family and lets them know, we received the order from the hospice, we'll be out there this afternoon. The technician will contact you with an ETA, and then again, they're going to get that next phone call plus a text message from the technician introducing themselves, letting them know who they are, and then with their ETA. It all starts and ends with the communication part.
National HME does more than just provide equipment. They provide service with care and empathy. To learn more about the services provided by National HME, you can visit their website at nationalhme.com. This episode is sponsored by Reluctant Care. Reluctant Care founders Nancy Hireman and Brenda Kazire have crafted a 32-page booklet called The Care Plan, A Path to Comfort for the Hospice Patient. Here's what certified hospice and palliative care nurse Helen Bauer says about the Reluctant Care booklet.
As an end-of-life educator and advocate, I'm always on the lookout for great resources to share with caregivers and anyone dealing with a serious illness. The Care Plan from Reluctant Care has features that users can access anytime they need it. There's information about the symptoms we commonly manage at end of life, like pain, anxiety, shortness of breath, and secretions. Caregivers can use the Care Plan's tracking forms for medications and write down specific instructions for their loved ones. There's even a section on how to use meds safely and appropriately. The Care Plan from Reluctant Care is the perfect bedside resource for caregivers.
You can purchase copies of the Care Plan for yourself or your hospice agency at thecareplan.net. A new Spanish edition is also available for purchase on their website in either print or digital versions. Now, back to today's episode.
So, JJ, I want to touch back on something that you said, and it was just very, very slight, but based on what Natalie's saying about your mom and dealing with the assisted living staff, you said assisted living facilities. You said multiple. If you don't mind talking about it, I want to talk about that because this is a challenge. We have a tendency to think of this little old lady who's just sick and needs help, and she's very passive and kind and gentle. And that's not how it works. Some people's personalities are just not like that. So has your mom been in multiple facilities, and why?
So yes is the answer. There are a couple of different whys that we can offer. She first came to North Carolina, and that's where I was. That's why we chose, after that medical episode in 2019, we moved her to me because that made sense. And after about 4 months, there was a mental and emotional toll on me. I was the only person there. Natalie was in Virginia. Emilie was in Indiana. And then the majority, we're all from a small town in Tennessee. And so all of our extended family was there, Helen. So I was blessed that I owned my own business. So I had the freedom to help with mom's medical and all of that. To go and do and deliver her Cheetos and her Hershey bars when she called to demand, because Connie is totally cognizant. She's all there, folks, but she physically has her limitations. So I'll say first that emotionally and mentally, it's okay that it's hard, even when somebody is in an assisted living facility, because that doesn't mean you're not a caregiver. That's important.
Right.
But after that, I think it was 4 to 5 month period, they couldn't meet her needs. Is 4 now we're saying, but it's 4. They could not meet her needs. And we say that because mom's Parkinson's requires that she have medicine every 2 hours. She has the ability to ask for medicine in between that and as needed. And she was chasing the medicine. That's what we say about Parkinson's. It's almost like a drug addict where she has to have the dopamine to keep herself regulated. And so she was chasing medicine carts. She was chasing the nurses. Don't forget my medicine. Because we say it with kindness, the assisted living facilities, they don't have the staff. They don't have... it's not there to meet someone's needs like mom. And so they weren't able to meet mom's needs. And so we were asked to find another place. Yes, Natalie?
I raised my hand since nobody else can see, since this is not recorded. Now here's the important part though, because we don't want to say that people shouldn't go into assisted living. I'm going to say that because when we moved mom into assisted living, it was a better place than she was living.
Yeah.
Because when we came in, when she was at that state of kind of crisis, because typically caregiving it really turns on a dime and it turns on a crisis.
Sure.
You'll be caregiving, and we were long distance caregivers, and we did that for many, many years. And, part of me wonders, did we not see it on purpose? I don't know. It's very easy to get wrapped up in your own lives, and it's easier to be like, oh, she's fine. Oh, she's fine. Well, that's not great, but no, she's fine. But when we came into the crisis, and so when we moved her to assisted living, we had to clean out her apartment. And it was when we cleaned out her apartment, the disgust in ourselves was very much like, we let this go too long. And you fight this battle with yourself and the person to say, because our mom is very strong-willed. We get it honest. And so she wanted to live independently because you've got beliefs in there that is, people go to assisted living to die. No one in our family had ever gone to assisted living. So this was very new. And because I had run congregate settings for children and adolescents, I'm like 3 hots and a cot, and you've got an activity schedule. I'm like, you're getting out more than you ever did living by yourself. And all she did was make phone calls every day. If she wasn't chasing meds, she was chasing people to stay with her. And loneliness is a real thing. Loneliness impacts us emotionally. It impacts us physically. And so I know she was lonely. And there would be days that I knew that she would go without leaving her home because she really couldn't drive. It was not safe for her to drive. So moving her to assisted living was actually, in my mind, it was like, this is great. She's got all kinds of people to talk to, which is fantastic. And she's got nursing staff, and she's got her meals because she was not eating healthy. But I think, I want to be very kind too. They tried their best, but staffing was an issue. And then the other piece of it was JJ was the only family mom had. And this is not to be disparaging of our mom, but there were some days she texted JJ 100 times in one day. 100 times. That's what I say. She's the favorite. JJ was the go-to. So JJ's the go-to anyway. But then when JJ lived in the same community as our mom, and so this was a family discussion with our aunt too, which was JJ was struggling. It was impacting her marriage. Let's be really honest about this. And it impacts mine, and I'm not even taking care of my mom like in the same community. And so our aunt said, you need to bring her home. It's okay. You have permission to bring her home. Our aunt gave JJ permission because guilt is a powerful thing.
That is also one of my superpowers. Just
JJ
so I'll toss that out there.
She's very good at feeling guilty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Aunt Jane said she did. I remember sitting outside of my work, and she called. I told her I was just broken, and she said, "You can bring her home, Jay. Bring her home. This is not what your life is supposed to be about. Those were the words, bring her home." And so that's where her 4 siblings were. That's where their spouses are, where all of our family is. So we did. So we're at the second, super excited, second assisted living
loved
facility.
it.
It was
everybody
fantastic.
knew everybody. They went to church with us. We all knew each other's cousins. We live in a small community. Everybody knew everybody, which is beautiful and terrible at the same time.
But that was January of 2020.
When the world fell in. Yeah.
Yeah. So we spent COVID at the new facility. And it's hard to say COVID was something of a blessing because while we took things, my aunts could drop off things outside, or, it limited the demands that were placed on us by mom, because there were a lot of demands. But what it also, we still encountered the same things. I was still on the phone with the director of nursing or the facility director. Your mom won't comply with the regulations. She wants to be social and get out of her room. And, they've got them on lockdown. And so she's out, social butterfly. But in addition to that, same problem, could not get her medication. So she's out chasing meds. She's falling. She's when she doesn't have her medicine, to be honest, she can get aggressive. And
well, and here's the thing, Dante, because I'm going to totally interrupt and cow like moo all over you, Jay. Our mom is 69 now. Our mom was early. First symptoms was age 48 with Parkinson's, diagnosed at 52. So it's really important to know our mom is also the youngest person. So another reason that she was apprehensive about going in. And her Parkinson's is fairly advanced. And most staff don't understand Parkinson's because she can walk and she could probably be a majorette for the University of Tennessee in 1 hour. And then 15 minutes later, she's pretty catatonic. I mean, she can't move.
Yeah.
Yeah. The meds are hard to regulate.
That's right.
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
don't understand.
Yeah.
So we got through COVID, and then in March of 2022, they said they weren't going to be able to meet her needs anymore. So we moved to our third facility, and that lasted until July.
And Jason, my husband, was diagnosed with cancer in the same time.
Yeah. And
So
I got married.
And JJ decided to get married.
Oh my gosh. All of that at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was named CEO of our company at the same time too, because it seemed like a great idea. So you got all these things.
But the third facility, that was the first one. Mom had a roommate, and that was kind of the breaking point. We'll say Sweet Judy. The names are changed to protect the innocent. But we will say the episode was that Judy, there's a common theme. It's Hershey bars and Cheetos in our house. That is Mom's passion. And Judy had severe dementia. And so she would forget which closet was hers. She thought the whole room was hers. And so she kept stealing the Hershey bars.
She didn't steal. She just mistakenly took things that were not hers.
Oh my
and Mom
gosh.
came in one day and Judy was in the closet taking them. Mom was very frustrated. And so she mistakenly.
She accidentally threw her coffee cup at Judy.
Oh,
and
heavens.
so
when we
got a call.
Yeah.
Because Mom got an incident report.
I bet you did. Oh my gosh.
But when I called, because I am the disciplinarian, I called and said, Mom, do you understand what's happened, that you've done this? And she said to me on my grave, she said, but Jay, the coffee was cold.
Yeah, I can feel the remorse in that statement.
And then they asked us to leave.
It wasn't hot.
And then they asked us to leave. So they weren't going to be able to meet her needs either. So this was kind of a turning point for us. And this is, I think, important for anyone that her needs were just too much. We could put her in skilled nursing, or Emilie could take her 24/7. She had that flexibility to move Mom out of assisted living and to put her in a home environment. And the home environment, we could do one other thing, and that was Mom could get a Duopa pump. And that's a medication for Parkinson's that gives you the medicine constantly throughout the day through a stoma. So it goes straight into her stomach. We're not chasing medicine. We're not doing that. They can't manage that in the assisted living facilities. They don't allow it.
It's a regulation issue.
Right. It's a skill beyond what they are allowed to do.
Yeah.
So that was the trade-off was, okay, Emilie, if you take her, we won't need medicine. And so, and
you'll live your best life.
Yeah.
You'll both be happy. Mom might be happy.
But what an incredible amount of pressure.
She took it. She wanted it. She actually, Emilie said, I want to do this. She has 3 kids and
they're all
has
adults.
This amazing heart. And she said, I can do this. I want to do this. I want to help Mom. And she did it.
No, wait.
We
JJ and Emilie called me in New York City and they got me. They were like, we have this great idea of what we're going to do with Mom. And I'm like, okay, which skilled nursing facility are we going to? Because I knew that it was her going back to home was not an option. And then it was, Emilie's decided that she wants to, and she's prayed about it. And I'm like, I don't think she was talking to Jesus. And so I said, I don't agree with this. Over a week and numerous conversations, all three of us, me and Emilie, me and JJ, Emilie and JJ, I kept saying, no, you will give up your life. This is a bad idea. I don't support this. And then it was, all right, if this is what y'all really want to do, I'll support you.
Yeah. It's a nursing home with 1 staff member.
Oh, that's
is
right.
what it comes down to.
158 hours. In case you didn't know, that's how many hours you have to staff a
Yeah.
7 days a week.
But it also is important. So we had been able, there was no financial planning for my parents. We're in the South. We don't discuss finances.
That's just rude.
And
Yeah.
it was rude.
Bad
and
manners.
so my mom was on disability, and this is important. My mom was on disability. My dad had a pension, and the way that they distributed his pension was that he decided to take the larger payments when he was younger so that he and mom could take those together, because mom was going to pass first. And when mom passed, he was sure he wouldn't need it. So that is not the way the scenario worked out. So this whole story also goes along with, we were fighting for money to do this. I don't think any of us had any idea, Helen, how much assisted living or nursing homes or any of this was going to cost people to come in and help in the home. We had no idea.
Well, and when Emilie and I toured, I asked if I could actually be admitted now. And because I'm like 3 hots and a cot, you got me on these activities. You're going to take me and get my hair done. I can work remotely. It looked awesome. I told my husband, I'm like, dude, the moment you hit 55, we're in.
Yeah.
And
but they give you that $10,000 price tag, and you're like, I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what?
That's larger.
I'm
That's
sorry,
my
did you say
whole, but that's
10,000?
my,
Yeah. I'm going to be living in a cardboard box in my kid's
Yeah.
driveway. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jason just looks for a brand new bridge.
So we were able to set up a trust for mom. We worked through the state of Tennessee, and we were actually able to get mom on Medicaid. And that's really important. But also they told us when we made this decision, and that's why I was okay with this, that we would be able to get 30 additional hours a week of people to come in and help Emilie. And so I was like,
Respite.
this is fantastic. So we
Yes.
have the pump, we have 30 hours. We moved mom and Emilie into this great little condo, and I was excited.
We bought a car. Let's be
Furnished
really
it.
clear. Rent a year lease. We thought a year's not that long. A year lease.
Yeah. How bad could it be? Yeah.
Bought a car, furnished it because we had gotten rid of everything 3 years earlier.
And it lasted 7 months. And the skills that mom needed, I don't think any of us fully comprehended what she was going through. First of all, what she was experiencing at the assisted living, but also what the assisted living facilities were experiencing with her, because her needs are significant.
Yeah.
And while she has those on times and off times, her off times are significant. And even more so than that, as a caregiver, we watched Emilie's health. She was imploding. And in February of 23, I went in, Natalie and I both went in for respite. Natalie lasted a day.
No. Wait. Before we go and down ourselves, Emilie quit first in October.
Oh, that's true. Emilie did quit.
Emilie quit. And then every week mom fired her.
That's true.
Oh my gosh.
So every week we did these calls that Emilie was like, I can't deal, because mom would pull the, I'm your mother, do as I say. And then it was, Emilie was like, we were having to take the knobs off of the stoves because mom wanted to cook, and Emilie would wake up to a kitchen that was, and if she was here, she'd tell you, like, these role reversals that you never expect. And you're and JJ and I are calling and having to mediate between them. You know, at one point I was like, and I say this in a kind of humorous way, but a little bit true. I wasn't sure I was calling the APS complaint on mom or Emilie, because the relationship was deteriorating.
Yeah.
She had lost the daughter. And so at times it was like they were triggering each other. And then we're like, we're going to come in and help. But we also wanted to say, hey, let's see what's going on, because we thought things were not great. And JJ's right. I only lasted a day.
Yeah.
Natalie did last a day, and
It was a whole day though.
Almost a week. And I think that week was unbelievable, because I think no matter who you care for, and even if they're going into hospice, when you get to that turning point and you have to recognize how sick someone is and that you can't manage their care anymore, that was the breaking point for me. I knew that I put Emilie in a really bad place, and I was broken in that I had done that to her. But also I knew that we had to get mom into a skilled nursing facility. And so in March, we were finally able to get her to a skilled nursing facility that would take the pump, because we thought it would be easy. That's what they always told us. If you go to skilled nursing, they can take the pump.
Right.
And so we got the list. We picked the one we wanted. We went.
There was like 10.
And we were turned down by
Everyone.
first 5. And then the bottom of the list was too far away. They were taking us away from her family, the people that could visit. We finally got to one, and it wasn't necessarily that it was the top of the list, but it was the one that would take her.
Right. Because
with
of the pump.
Yeah, you had to decide. You should not have to decide between my mom doesn't have to chase her medicine and a good facility, or she in a bad facility. And I don't want to say that where she's at now is bad. It's not our preferred facility.
Right.
There were other facilities that had different amenities that aligned better with her. The population was better, closer to her age, that sort of thing. There were things that made sense, but you shouldn't have to choose between medicine and a facility. And the frustrating part for me, having worked in treatment facilities and so forth, because congregate to me, you are required by state law to have a certain level of staffing to include RNs. Every one of them should, the question of her pump should never have been a question.
Yeah.
It should not have been a factor in your determining of our mom's admission. And it was.
Yeah.
And so that's where my superpower comes in, is I know the regs.
Right.
And so I've challenged them.
That's a specialty item. That's a specialty item. And staffing being what it is, I'm with you. You can't fault the assisted livings or skilled nursing facilities days, because across the board, any silo of the industry that includes healthcare nursing clinicians is dealing with staffing issues.
Absolutely.
So any facility, any living facility, assisted living, anything like that, they're all going to be shorthanded.
Mm-hmm. And we understand that.
Yeah. It doesn't make it any less necessary. You know, it's one of those choices. You just have to pick the lesser of the evils that you've got that can still meet your mom's needs. So right now she's in a skilled facility. She still has the pump, and they're still managing her meds with the pump, right?
Right. And although it wasn't our first choice, it is in the small town that we were raised in. She is 5 minutes away from all our family, her sisters, and they're able to visit. But she's the youngest of 5, so she's 69. Her brothers and sisters are all in their late 70s and their 80s. She was that youngest oops in her family. But they all are able to visit on occasion. But we've found that because of her age and because of the population at the facility, she needs more interaction. So we have, as a family, we've engaged in someone to go in and be with her 3 days a week.
That's a really nice way to say it. We pay for what the system is not able to do.
Yeah.
They are required to give our mom a bath. They are required to brush her teeth. They're required to do certain things. I am much more vocal about this. JJ's nice about it. I'm mad that we're paying $1,000 a month for someone to come in 3 days a week to supplement, to actually meet the minimum requirements.
Right.
But you know what? I'm not going to punish our mom because of a healthcare system, not a facility, a healthcare system that does not fully staff and support into our aging population the way they need to, aging and disabilities. And so it's not right, but we're not going to punish our mom. And so this speaks to the extra expense that caregivers are responsible for, the unseen expenses that we as caregivers pay for extra.
Absolutely.
Because we don't want our mom to suffer.
Yeah.
Because it's the right thing to do, because I know she needs more. And, you know, it's funny that that facility they don't really have a van or go anywhere. And so what this lady does is they'll go and they'll drop off mom's laundry at my aunt's, because when the facility does my mom's laundry, she doesn't get her clothes back. So it's kind of an interesting scenario, and that's okay.
And that's a reality across the board.
Reality.
It is.
Doesn't matter.
It's okay.
Facts.
It is what it is.
We accept that.
But you know what the things are that changes mom's life now. or she gets to go drop off her laundry at Aunt Jane's house, who's a saint. Aunt Jane is a saint. And she goes to Sonic and goes to the drive-thru and gets ice cream. So if you need to send a gift, send a Sonic card.
A Sonic gift card.
A Sonic gift card. And
thank you, Sonic.
If that changes her life, like that is the little
it's normalcy.
It is. And I know when we put her in that facility, and we all made that decision, she knew she was going to have to go. And that was the hardest part, that she participated in it and she is not super thrilled to be there, because she still doesn't realize that her health is not going to improve, that Parkinson's she's terminal. That is her disease. That is her diagnosis. And it's not going to go away. It's not going to get better. But when we went in, I was, the paint wasn't right and the lighting wasn't right and the facility was old. But I know that the care isn't as good as I'd like it to be. And so now we supplement that care. But she does get food and she is sheltered. And for that, she's okay. I laugh and say the first time I called, I was guilt-ridden because of this decision. I have struggled and still struggle. And but I remember the first time I called and she didn't answer her phone. She still has a cell phone. Lord help us. She still has a cell phone. She didn't answer her phone. And so I called a little later and I'm like, Mom, you didn't answer your phone. Is everything okay? And she says, yeah, I was just out playing bingo. And I'm like, it's okay, because bingo's, she was alone in that apartment. And I look back to 2019 and she was over medicated. She was in a state of psychosis. She was hallucinating. She was in a terrible place.
Yeah.
And so while I feel like the road that we've been on it's been rocky, and sometimes I'm not satisfied with the decisions I've made and what we've done or the service we've received, or I feel like there could be so much more, we've still come a long way and it's still better than where we were.
100%.
We're still learning. It's still a hot mess. We still, every day I'm learning. Helen, we lost, this is funny, Medicare thought she had died in July.
Oh, so
no.
Don't worry, we got her resurrected.
Well, she is resurrected. But my dad's pension check, his pension company sent out a mailing and the mail was returned. So because of that returned mail, it started this trigger of events. They stopped his benefit, which stopped the payment to Medicare, which stopped everything. And all of that.
It stopped her carbidopa medication, which is her pump meds, which allows her to function. And she's not been without those meds for 20 years. And she is on the equivalent of 20 pills a day.
Oh, wow.
Keep going, Jay. It gets better.
So we fought our way through that, and CVS thankfully was the godsend. And
hello, CVS, we love you.
Yeah, they continued to send her medicine out even when the insurance company told me I should just go ahead and pay for it until they got her medicine or her insurance reinstated, and because they thought I had $7,000 laying around. But we talk about the lessons we've learned. And the lesson was, with Medicare, I didn't understand Medicare versus Medicare Advantage. And we've taken the platform that we have on the podcast, because I've been doing this since 2019 with Her Full Care. I didn't know that I could get 60 additional hours if I changed over to Medicare Advantage, Helen. If I could talk to this broker who said, okay, your mom should have never had premiums. And then if you changed her to this plan, there's no charge to you and she gets these better benefits. And so caregivers give themselves such a hard time all the time, no matter what position you're in. And again, I just say, we're still learning. Every day I'm still learning something new. Yeah. And I'm super excited. She got like these OTC benefits. I didn't know about these. I wish I'd known about these.
That's over the counter for all of you folks who don't know OTC.
And healthy groceries. So even though she's in a facility, she loves
avocado,
things like that. Avocado. And it falls into that. And so I can use that card and send avocados and Ezekiel bread, which is
her favorite.
It's just a favorite. But it's because we learned that was another program. And
It's about maximizing your benefit. So we can either sit here and whine about what is and be unhappy, or we can be grateful and we can find the silver lining. And so, had mom not died in Medicaid's eyes, we wouldn't know about a better benefit.
So we have great benefits now.
There were some good things that came out of that. But isn't caregiving just a learning journey the whole time? I mean, there are points I think you get to where, like with Emilie, being there with your mother, being the sole on-site caregiver, hands-on caregiver, that you just survive. There's no thriving, right? There's no self-care, no other life outside the caregiving. You just try to survive. And it's no longer just the caree surviving. It's about the caregiver surviving. How do you get through that? So that kind of advocacy and assertiveness that's needed, being that voice, you don't have to change the entire industry and the healthcare system, but you can change for your one person.
Yeah.
But I mean, one person doing this as a caregiver, as opposed to a small group, there's so much advantage to having several family members or friends, whoever it's going to be that caregiving voice, that caregiving village for someone.
And we've said that before. I can't imagine how we would do it if I was just one person, that we all have these special skill sets, and regardless of what the event is, we'll come to an agreement that that's the best path. Yeah. And we support the decision, whether we're totally opinionated and something different. But it takes three of us. And so for anybody that's going through it by themselves, we can only say, you've got to find a support. You've got to find somebody else. You've got to build a tribe, like what we said. You got to have a team to help you. And for Emilie, that experience with mom, she had to step out of, she had to kind of shelter in place after we put mom in a nursing home. She had to regroup, recover mentally, emotionally, physically, because losing her position as a daughter, as a sister, she didn't know who she was. She had gone through, it truly is a trauma. And people don't recognize that. Caregiving is hard, but what you experienced during that time, the things that are said that you wish you hadn't said, the things that maybe mom said to her that she wished she hadn't said, it's traumatic. It's not on anybody's bucket list. First of all, Chris McClellan says that all the time, but it's a learning experience every day.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think it's a traumatic event. I think we lose a lot of our sense of self as caregivers. And if the relationship has not been great and it deteriorates, there comes a point where you think, I don't really like this person that I'm taking care of. Oh, and lo and behold, I don't really like myself all that much anymore either.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you guys have created some meaning. You're using your voices very productively, not just in the care of your mom, but you're speaking out and helping and supporting other caregivers as well through your podcast, Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver. I love the name. It's perfect. How can my listeners connect with you and your show? Natalie, you want to take that one?
Well, we are on all the podcasts, the platforms where you find your favorite podcast, like, Heart of Hospice. We'll be right next. You can have our pictures right next to each other and be like, oh, look, we love them. And, but you can find us there. We have our website, which is confessionsofareluctantcaregiver.com, but we would love for you to follow us on Facebook. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, where we put ideas and we put out blogs. We have a newsletter. We're on Twitter, although I think it's called X, but we're kind of old, so we're still figuring that out. So just kind of like go to Facebook or Instagram or wherever. Go wherever it feels good. That's where we're at. And so if you put in Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver, we have pages there, and we are always putting out content. I think the biggest thing for us is there's 4 areas that the podcast hit, but there's 4 areas that we believe in, which is relate, educate, inspire, and clearly laugh. So because as a caregiver, if you don't laugh, you're probably going to be crying. So, and some of the things is you can't even make this up. And it is through those experiences where it's like, oh gosh, thank God I'm not the only one. Or, oh, I did that too. I don't have to feel as guilty. Somebody else is out there is experiencing the same thing as me. because it is through relationship that and our storytelling that we believe you find healing. And, the silver lining of our podcast for us has been, I didn't know how badly I needed to hear other people's stories so that I could heal.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for being on the show and talking with me. I'm sorry to miss Emilie today, but I hope that she is hunkered down somewhere, having some great self-care, recuperating, recovering, and keep doing the good work. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
We had such a crazy conversation, a wonderful conversation. These women infuse humor and grace into everything that they're doing in the care of their mom. And I would say in the care of each other as well. So Natalie and JJ, if you guys are listening to this, and Emilie, if you're listening to this, we didn't talk about this, but you guys are really incredibly adept at taking care of each other, respecting each other's superpowers, those who are advocates and communicators, and also knowing when to protect each other, communicating directly, helping each other to take care of yourselves. It's a big collaboration. It's a care team, which is important. And knowing the dynamics of the personal relationships is so valuable when it comes to being a caregiving system or a caregiving village. It's a challenge, but it's also a strength to be able to know those relationships. One of the things the women shared with me was that when Emilie became a caregiver and was just one-on-one with her mom, living with her, she became less of a sister and less of a self, less of a person. She was just a caregiver. And I've gotten to where I don't use the word just in front of different role titles and words. I'm not going to say just a nurse, and I would never say just a caregiver. I would tell you, don't use the word just in front of your role or your job or your performance, whatever it is that you do. I'm just a mom, just a housewife, just a chaplain, just an aide. Every role has value. Every role has value, and we never want to diminish anybody else. We should never diminish ourselves either. But Emilie lost that sense of self, and it did make her feel diminished, as if she was simply a caregiver or only a caregiver, to where the sense of self, her life as a mom and a woman, as an individual, she had lost that. Thank goodness Natalie and JJ were there to say, it's okay if we stop doing this. We'll find something different. We'll find something better. I think the biggest lesson that they said they have learned is that caregiving is a learning journey. You learn the entire time. You learn and you change. It's a challenging experience even when there's a group, but there's still things to learn. And their mission as the Sisterhood of Care is to relate, educate, inspire, and laugh. And I think they did all of that with us today. We definitely laughed. I can relate because of my caregiving experiences. I hope you can too. I hope you learned something from what they are doing, and I hope you're inspired. You can connect with the sisters on Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver. Find their website, confessionsofareluctantcaregiver.com, and their podcast, which you can find on all the major platforms. They're amazing and funny, and you're really going to enjoy and learn from their caregiving journey. Be sure to catch the next episode of the Heart of Hospice podcast. You can find more episodes on theheartofhospice.com, and don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. You can connect with the Heart of Hospice on Facebook and Instagram, and send your questions or comments by email to helen@theheartofhospice.com. And remember, no matter who you are or where you are in your hospice journey, you are the heart of hospice.
This is the Whole Care Network. helping you tell your story one podcast at a time.